Welcome to Screen Realm, it's Guillermo here. You're about to watch a chat that I was lucky enough to have with Abi Damaris Corbin, the filmmaker making her feature directorial debut with this true story drama thriller. The film is titled Breaking and it stars John Boyega. It's based on the true story of US Marine veteran Brown-Easley, who in 2017 was driven to the brink. He decided to go into a bank and hold hostages by announcing that he had a bomb. As the police and the media descended on the bank and Brian, it became clear that he wasn't after the money. He wanted to tell his story and have what is rightfully his, even if it costs him his life. A major issue that he wanted in the spotlight was how he was being treated by the Veterans Administration, who had stopped his payments. In the interview ahead, I talked to Abi about what attracted her to the project, when she first read the major article on Brian written by journalist Aaron Gell, her personal connection to the issue that Brian wanted to publicize, what it was like filming during peak COVID limitations, and working with a very impressive cast. We also talk about the late Michael Kenneth Williams, who gives a fantastic performance here in one of his final roles. Hope you enjoy the interview ahead. Be sure to hit the subscribe button when you can, and be sure to keep an eye out for Breaking, available to rent and own from the 27th of March. How are you today?
I'm doing pretty great. Happy to speak with you.
Happy to speak with you as well. I managed to see the film last night, the night before last, and I was quite moved by it. So well done on making a moving film. I always like to say making a film in general deserves applause. So just well done on getting a film together, because I know that's no easy feat.
It's not.
How did you find your first experience as sole director making a feature film? Challenging, difficult, everything that you can imagine? Was it much more of a learning curve than you thought? Or was it exactly what you pretty much envisioned from the beginning?
You know, I had done a very ambitious short film called The Suitcase before this, and I this film Breaking was difficult to make in the sense that we just had a lot of challenges from funding to execution, but I had more help on this one. Suitcase was harder because it was me and a couple friends.
Right. And tell me how you got to this project in the first place. I understand that your father was a war vet, or is a war vet.
Yes, he's a Navy war vet. He fought in Vietnam and contracted Agent Orange during his time there.
Oh, wow.
He's gone from being an athlete to being in a wheelchair and still hasn't received all of his benefits from the VA.
So you were reading this, I think, driving, I read.
I was. So I did to give myself a little less of a bad reputation. I did pull over to the side of the road.
Okay.
I read the text of the article I read the headline at a red light. And then as soon as I saw that, I pulled over to the side of the road and just read the whole thing in one sitting. And I just cried and cried. My heart was broken for Brian's family, for him, for our system, for the things that I knew to be true, but really hadn't been able to empathize with in a full way for what my father experienced. It allowed me to really understand him a lot more. I had the privilege of being able to write the script with Kwame Kwame. Kwame and I loved working together. He's family at this point. We've been able to really forge a deep friendship through this process. So in many ways, it was just a dream collaboration because we had so much respect for each other's process and for who we wanted to be in the world. Both of us, when we say something, it means something. And we respect that a lot about each other. And as far as the actual process of it, there was an immense amount of material research gathered by the journalist. And between that and conversations with Brian's family, with the negotiator and other folks involved, we were really able to gather a full picture before we went to page.
And I understand that you had the input of Brian's widow.
Yes,
Um,
Jessica.
what was she able to provide in terms of knowledge that you brought to the film?
When you love someone, you are able to just give a glimpse into their spirit of who they were, and you portray them in a light that nobody else can see. And she did that. She talked about how Brian loved his walks and processed things that way, how he would just flitter away like a bird sometimes and go read a book, how he was as quick to smile and laugh as he was to jump in and help or correct. She talked about how he was a human, not a perfect man.
Has she seen the film now? I assume she has. And what was her reaction to the film?
She made us wait a little bit, which we sat on a Zoom with her for about 10 minutes just chatting before she told us. And then she said, really grateful that now it's not just her daughter and her remembering Brian on birthdays and holidays.
I'm interested in the reception. Have you heard much from other vets or even from the VA themselves regarding this film?
We, meaning Kwame, myself, John, producers, we get messages from vets, from family members, from friends all the time. And most of them are saying, thank you for telling my story, my sister's story, my dad's story, for helping me understand. We've been really fortunate, and the response from the veterans community has been overwhelmingly supportive.
That's great. That's fantastic to hear. And any in particular word from the VA regarding the situation, or because the film provides a good amount of information as to their limitations and the entire issue with the system. Have you heard anything regarding that?
A woman from the VA did reach out recently to Brian's widow, and she said, I'd like to help. I'd like to reopen the case. So no money has been paid, but at least somebody's paying attention.
It's fascinating to me that the amount of money isn't even a lot. The issue itself becomes way bigger than an amount of money, which is, I think, what Brian was essentially trying to highlight is the overall issue and not the $890 something.
Exactly.
Regarding the shoot itself, I understand that you shot during peak COVID limitations and everything. So how was that experience?
It was the height of Delta.
Delta,
So
right? Yeah.
it was immensely difficult. Test however many times a day, and you're wearing face shields and masks, and it's 120 degrees and no real rehearsals to speak of that you're able to do. So you just have to use that to your advantage and know that, okay, these characters, they were kind of separated, right?
Yeah.
Brian and Rosa and Estelle and Bernard. So, okay, how can we do that? Let's silo people and then clear the set out. So as much as possible when we're filming, it's just them. It's like a scene from a play, right? It doesn't feel as much like a film set. So did my best to facilitate that and then allow them to work and make sure that, there's someone on the end of the phone who's actually belonging to be in the scene with them instead of them acting into the void.
Also, you had did you have actors or did you have just cast and crew, maybe crew members on the phone?
I'm quite certain that if John's on the phone with Mike and his character Bernard, it's John and Mike.
Really?
Yeah, we went pretty far out of our way to make sure that happened, because otherwise the performances are just going to suffer so much.
Wow.
Real budget implications, and it doesn't have real scheduling implications, but by far one of the best decisions I made as director.
That's fantastic. What a cast you have here. How did you gather such a talented group? I mean, John Boyega, I understand, was a timing issue. There was nearly another cast member in the lead role, but then you had Michael Kenneth Williams, Connie Britz, and so many people. Were they all attracted to the script, or was it, John Boyega? What was it?
Could have asked John that one. John wasn't the first in for this project. I think before him, Jonathan Majors was in. John and I both went after Mike because we really wanted him for that role. Mike told me he was drawn to the story, and he also told me that he wanted to work with a young Boyega, and he didn't mind me either. So I'm grateful for that.
In regards to your next steps, do you know what you're doing next? If you can say anything regarding that, or are you still just tiptoeing right now?
Say something. I'm working on a couple things.
Okay. Okay, well, we'll all look out for what you've got coming up next. Thank you so much for your time today.
Thank you. Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you as well. Thank you.